Welcome to Tech at Lunch, the podcast that satisfies your hunger for all things tech while you enjoy your midday meal. So grab your sandwich, tune in, and let's dig in. Hello, I'm Nick.
Hey, I'm John.
And, we don't have Ed with us today. He had some stuff going on. So, last week we sat down, we kind of talked about, robots, cobots, and, all that fun stuff. And this week we want to kind of go roll back a little bit, back to the roots. Well, not really the roots, but kind of a couple branches. We want to talk about additive manufacturing
Mhm.
because the thing is additive manufacturing is, booming. So we really want to start talking about the industrial growth of additive manufacturing. And, not only, what does that mean going forward, um, but kind of where is it going to probably position itself in a certain amount of time? We may look at some of the numbers. We're definitely going to squirrel a little bit, by the way. Um, but we're gonna have fun doing it. We're gonna talk about things. Hopefully, get everybody interested in it. We want to see this industry grow. We want to see more cool things like what Caracol is doing, because that's just cool. Robots and 3D printing. You put them both together, and it's a match made in heaven. Um, so, but enough of me rambling. When we're talking about that, what are you thinking?
Yeah, now it's to me rambling.
Just passing the buck.
No, so yeah, so additive as a whole is been around for some time. We've mentioned it a lot, right? Like in some state or fashion, there's a lot of additive that's probably been around every single person that they don't even realize. So additive in the sense that we've been talking about it in actually is more industrial, like robots or like welding or bigger machinery, three-phase power, like fuse model or powder bed fusion. I'm sorry. So in a lot of those cases, we're talking about like a very small market. Like not everybody's gonna go out and buy that. Needs to get like trained in those things. Like it's very interesting for us, but a lot of people, it's not a passion for them, so they're not gonna drive to that. So where did all of this begin though? Um, it was around the 1980s, right? So
Hmm.
we said we talked about the first like rapid prototyping tests, things like that. We talk about how models were made in rapid iterations um, so that projects could be completed in a much faster fashion and save a lot more money because they don't have to throw out or scrap it as many models, things like that. And then it kind of continues on, and everybody starts utilizing the same kind of methodology of rapidly iterating through different types of 3D printing. However which way they figured it out. Like when it goes back to what I was saying, it's probably been around to every single one of you. For me, inkjet printing is just a form of printing that I was like, yeah, you just get your cartridges, you put it in there, put the paper in, it makes the thing you need. But when you think about what we've been doing with 3D printers, like Nick, think about it.
Hmm.
An inkjet printer is a that's a it's not
Huh.
necessarily a 3D printer, but
Right.
it is a form of additive manufacturing, right?
Well,
Because
that's
it's
interesting.
taking a piece of paper and adding ink to it, or taking some toner and adding like heat to it or something. Like it's got different types of. I'm not exactly sure the inkjet printing precisely, but I know that we have several different colors that we're trying to combine to like
Yeah, it's like
make a picture at the end
RGB.
of the. Yeah, exactly. So
And you're
they
always low on
overlay
the
a lot of
magenta.
different colors, right? But that's you're adding that to the print or the paper to make what you need to like to see.
Which,
So that's a
uh,
form of additive.
with that, now this is okay. Squirrel time. Um, we're gonna go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, think about this. The new DTF printers, the direct to fabric printers.
The
They're
like
it's called a DTF machine. So you spray a chemical on a t-shirt, you load it in this printer, you close the printer, you hit the go button. right? It prints the design on the t-shirt. So it's a new way of doing like screen printing, but now it's called DTF.
Hmm.
So now we have now taken thinking on the way of how they're talking about the fact that inkjet is considered additive. Now we have DTF, direct to fabric. So now you're combining additive manufacturing and the fabric sector,
Hmm. Textiles. Yeah.
textiles. Exactly. It's no longer,
Yeah.
you're not worried about like carbon fiber and printing, but you're talking about actually adding something to something based on, a printer.
Yeah. See, and like a machine adding, yeah, exactly. I mean, this is the type of ideal and the like thought process that a lot of people um, have to kind of adopt for this to continue growing. And I think enough people have. We have enough companies that are, Joseph Prusa, who was like, I see what you're doing with the Ender. Let me do it better. But honestly, the tough part is understanding the cost of doing it different and doing it in a much more, let's say, a much less cost advantageous manner. However, the items, the pieces of the whole that he's using are higher quality. You're gonna have a longer lifetime. So, like building a quality car as opposed to buying something that's a piece of plastic that's gonna kind of um, like crap at you. Don't buy a car
Makes
on
sense.
Temu.
now,
Don't buy a Temu car, please.
now there is somebody on YouTube that's trying to
Just don't do it.
well, make their vehicle like a supercar off of like stuff from Alibaba and Temu. Like they bought their body kits from there. Oh yeah, it was hilarious. Um, but and the thing is you do now. I'm gonna say this: you can buy 3D printer kits on AliExpress. You can buy all of that on there. You can don't, but you can. You can buy the Voron kits on
Yeah,
AliExpress.
I think you take it with a grain of salt because they're not going to last as long. But yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
I got my Voron kit from what it was it not Form Labs. It was
I was from Fabrico.
uh was it? I
Yeah,
think we ordered it from the same site.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And so did one of our other guys. Everybody ordered from there, but and then the same one of our same guys is absolutely in love with AliExpress. It's his second
Mm-hmm.
mortgage payment. But
It's questionable.
it is. But the thing is, if you think about it, if we made people aware that certain things were additive manufacturing, you would see a growth in this or in the sector 10, 12 fold
Immediately.
because people are now aware of it. Before, everybody's like, "Oh, you have a 3D printer, you can make somebody something for Christmas," But now it's like, "Oh, you use 3D printing." Yeah, okay, cool. Can you print this for me, or can you scan this using a 3D scanner?
Yeah. Do you, yeah, that conversation has changed to be like they're just like, "Hey, can you do this? Can you make this crazy little thing I can't make myself?"
Yeah,
Like, absolutely, maybe. I don't know, maybe.
it changed. And the thing is now and how you can tell an industry is shifting. Um, One, it eventually will get regulated or get regulations behind it. Two, there's
Yeah, they
innovation
will
attached to
eventually.
it. Three, there's secondary products that come into a sector that support the initial idea of additive, which means that's where the 3D scanners came from. So now you're in tertiary, levels of this infrastructure setup where you're now working through the levels of industrial expansion.
Yeah, you're growing, you know, you're adding different manufacturing practices to increase efficiency. You're learning off of mistakes, things like that. Like how often do we hear about that in the industry? Is the don't do it that way. We had or there's a reason why we have to save. Like we have a data retention policy. There's a reason we have like all these regulations to go through because some at some point somebody broke that and
And
it
warning
and it
labels.
caused. Yeah, it caused some problems. Yeah, some people are not happy or are very hurt. It's
Yeah.
most likely the case.
And the thing is, additive is not a safe manufacturing sector, for the, love of God.
Well, not I don't want to say that like 3D printers are inherently not safe though.
Right.
But if you're getting on the industry level, yeah, we're the conditions that these models are getting put under,
Yeah, it can be a little rough.
yeah, not conducive to human life, let's say.
No, but the thing is, it's like, but like you said, it's how would it, what I mean, that's being not safe is some of them cannot be a safe environment. However, your printers for home use, your printers for small office use are great. Now, when you start dealing with powder bed fusion and you start dealing with your resin printers a little bit, you start getting into the world of the weird. Um,
Some chemicals you probably shouldn't inhale.
right, wear a respirator
Yeah, yeah, you
because
probably should.
the last thing you want to be doing is inhaling titanium dust from a powder bed fusion machine.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't think that's conductive to good lung function.
yeah, no. If you want to cough up blood, we got the spot for you.
Yeah, but the thing is, with enough safeties in place, and this goes to, that industrial growth is when you start really getting into, different type of safeties and stuff like that. It's becoming more and more and more. It's becoming safer and safer and safer as we go. Um, you got Haas that's partnering with Melt.io that's integrating these welding additive manufacturing machines into their CNC machines. So you're doing additive and subtractive at the same exact time. So now you're starting to see a lot of times of where you're upping the safety factor but combining methodologies.
Yeah.
It's like we talked about in the intro. You got guys who are combining robotics like Caracol
Yeah.
with 3D printers and saying, hey, this is the new norm for large format 3D printing.
Yeah, and it's the combination of those like those disciplines that start creating more of like an environment for you um, to grow as a industry overall. I mean, look at what Adidas has done with the 44 shoe. We've talked about it so many times. Like
Hmm.
they were able to put these things through so many paces. Like you break it down into SpaceX printing like
Rocket
literal
nozzles.
helmets. Well, engine nozzles. Yeah, engine nozzles, and printing the helmets to form fit the spacesuits that are going to survive out there in space. These are things that like I, I wasn't sure were possible before.
Yeah, and well, now you're talking about 3D printing on concrete.
Yeah.
So, it's that type of stuff is stuff that's, absolutely booming because, like you said, like the 3D printing nozzles, you're talking about things that are under so much force and so much heat that it's absolutely insane. It would melt anything else. But they're easily replaceable. Now you start getting into the fact that, we've started launching fully 3D printed rockets into orbit.
Yep.
Yes, they had an issue staying in orbit, but they made it. Um,
Hey, these are details we could work out later.
right. But the thing is they tried. They made it through Max Q.
That's yeah. You're talking about Terran
Yeah, Terran R.
for
You,
yeah.
you don't make it through Max Q, and more, which okay, let's backtrack this a little bit. What Max Q is before we start getting too
You
deep
have
into
to. You
that.
have to. You have to. It make
Um,
okay.
Max Q on a rocket is the highest dynamic force on the rocket at that point in time during launch. Usually it's going like Mach 3, something like that, or faster.
So yeah, exactly. And the way we learned about this was unfortunately through a disaster. But this is why we talk about regulations.
Yep.
These are things that like these are industry changing events that created a rule so we don't lose any more life or things like that. But yeah, it's hard when you're on the precipice on the forefront of like an industry like aeronautics or space travel, like bad things happen.
Yeah. But the thing is the Terran R, a metal 3D printed rocket with layer lines, by the way. Um, Printed with a Kuka arm, ironically enough. Um, Survived Max Q.
Yeah. So 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 theoretically, we have proven now that we can 3D print the rocket that'll get us into space.
Yeah. The thing is with that, you're talking now. This goes on to I think we've talked about Terran R or Terran on so many occasions, and it's because it's so mind-boggling. Is you start talking about at max Q, you not only just crushing force but shear force. Now you're talking about you did not shear at that layer line. So, whatever filament or whatever metal they're using or metal alloy they developed, it's strong enough to make that connection that much faster, that much better. And these guys are using what would be considered literally metal FDM.
Yeah. Yeah, just crazy, man.
It's not powder bed fusion. It's not done with a laser and some titanium like the rocket nozzles are.
The craziest part about that is that like in order for them to continue the shape and not have it like oblonged and like as you guys probably know, like if you have a cylinder that has any type of ridges on the edge and you try to like I don't know, launch it into space, it's gonna get off an angle really easily if you're not careful, if it's not perfect, if it's
Mm,
like and building thrust on that, it creates like resistance which is working against you. So like you got to be spot on.
yeah, and it survived the drag. And
Hmm.
the thing is, the drag equation better than I do. But thing
These
is,
guys, man.
you're talking about a 3D printed cylinder surviving the drag of launch. And this is something that kind of shows the fact that this industry is growing. It's striving, and every day it's growing little by little by little. And there's finally people out there who have a passion for it, and who have a passion for robotics, and have a passion for changing the status quo and changing how things are done, who are willing to step forward and say, "Hey, guess what? We got a better mousetrap," and they're coming forward with this research, this knowledge, this education, and well, it's really a sheer will of hold my beer and watch this, because honestly, that's how most of this stuff happens. And they're coming up with these things, and it's now you're going to start seeing. I perceive probably in the next 5 years. You think? Um, Within the next 5 years, we're going to see a radical shift in the additive manufacturing environment.
Yeah, I was looking up to see like valuations over the years. I think what do we talk about? We so it really got its limelight, I would say, around uh, the beginning. A lot of people say it's 1985, 1980, something like that, where it's really negligible. The industry's not a thing. So then you start developing, and then you start making money and growing it, helping people, making inventions. Around around 92, that's when they started making. So Stratasys is actually one of the first ones that did do this. So they do have patents on a few things, which we will probably talk about eventually.
Hmm.
It's hard to ignore. Um, but they developed an FDM, like the kind of the more like the printer, the Ender that you know today, that most people probably started on. Um, During this time, the valuation was quite a bit more. But like you think about roughly now, this is rough because I don't wanna like say exact numbers because it's hard. It's kind of depends on numbers that others are reporting and what you've kind of aggregated, right? So the roundabout number is around 100 million. Yeah, that's crazy to think
Yeah,
about in like less than 10 years. 100
yeah.
million dollars every year is being poured into this, right? And then you continue growing like eh, what 2025 or 20 or sorry 2014 it's already in the billions. That's a little bit over 30 years,
Hmm.
right? Or right at 30 years.
You're right at 30.
And it's already at like 4, 5, $6 billion.
It
So it's the way of the future. I mean, we we're still probably gonna have other forms of manufacturing, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, don't we're not gonna get away from what Elon Musk did with the like the what is the body press.
Oh yeah.
We're not gonna get away from like inventions like that skyrocket the output of a certain product, or like auto drive or not AI driving that
Hmm.
kind of push you towards some of the companies with better driving systems. So these things are very early in those industries, but those industries are only going to be more are only going to be bolstered that much more by additive manufacturing,
You're
because
gonna
not every
see,
it gives you so much variability.
yeah, and you're gonna see a combination of these sectors kind of pop in. AI, we're already seeing AI hop into the additive manufacturing space.
Hmm.
We're seeing a lot of things, hop into that space. We're seeing, things that, kind of, not really that go bump in the night, but you're seeing things that are, not available to the mass public yet be involved in additive, at least in some sort of way,
I
you
think that's a
know.
good way to put it. Not widely available. It might be confidential right now. Maybe it's doing something, but I think a lot of the times some of the technology doesn't get declassified for a long
Right.
time if certain parties get to it.
And, I really think that, as things move forward, you're going to really see, additive kind of have a shift. Um, and hopefully we see it really get brought into some things. If most people know my background, I came from the world of, you know, criminal justice and Homeland Security through education, stuff like that. However, in the Department of Homeland Security for, cyber defense and stuff like that, you have things called critical infrastructure protections or critical infrastructure sectors. And, one of those is the critical manufacturing sector, um, which covers everything. I mean, it covers your standard manufacturing practices. It covers your and stuff like that, like your steel mills and whatnot.
The less
However,
widely known OSHA.
right, yeah, this is on your cybersecurity standpoints and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's from, what we used to call HSPD, or Homeland Security Presidential Directive 7. That's what created this type of stuff, right? So, and all of that, everything has a national infrastructure protection plan. How do we protect that infrastructure going forward? Um, as far as from a like a United States standpoint, or actually from an internal sector standpoint,
Hmm.
I can see in the next couple years that additive manufacturing will be rolled into this because it's becoming more widely used, it's becoming more widely adopted, and sooner or later we're going to see additives as a critical path forward, especially for rapid and additive, rapid prototyping, rapid manufacturing, and quicker to market or quicker to support type of processes, especially when you start thinking about that additive also falls into different, infrastructure patterns like, communications. It falls into the defense sector. It falls into the medical sector. So it falls into all of those. So eventually, I think it's going to get rolled into, the major stuff and be actually protected for once at the cybersecurity level.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Right now, it's, I mean, kind of experience in the Wild West.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, it's crazy to think about, and it's even crazier to know that we're even talking about um, currently, like how much it's valued, how much the industry is valued at, because like we weren't even aware
Oh no.
a couple years ago. So, like looking at the projections now, we've looked at a couple things, and it's a bunch of aggregate numbers, and nobody can predict the future to a T, but the the growth is undeniable, right? So it's going to get upwards there's no doubt that at some point in the near before 2050 it'll hit trillions.
That's
And
crazy.
if it continues to be exponential, It's gonna be well before the 2050s.
And you know, and the thing is, it's funny when something like that came from some dudes in a garage using you know what is it, a weed whacker wire
Oh yeah,
to print something called rep wrap, and
rip
it,
rap man.
you know, and the thing is that's still loved to this day. The rep wrap way of building things is still absolutely loved, and the reason why that, you know, and also I can kind of see the industry, like you said, booming in the next, you know, little bit here, is because if it stays open source, it stays where it has a creator mentality behind it, but it can also be used in organizations. That means the tinker mentality is still there.
Yeah,
And when you tinker, you stress relief. So you get these guys who are building and rep wrapping these printers and stuff like that, building Vorons because they want to relax. They want to take their mind away from things that they've been doing. They want to tinker, so they want to buy more. They want to keep building and building and building and building because honestly, building that type of stuff is kind of like a drug. And you know, it's hey, look at this, I get to see it done. Now let me use it. Okay, cool. Now I'm ready to build another one. Um, and that's the reason why we get into 3D printing. That's why we get into additive manufacturing. Is you're addicted to not the instant gratification, but the process. You know, it's funny because if you're process minded, like you have to be with additive, is you have to be addicted to the process from the design of the what you're doing to the filament you choose or the processing way you choose to do it to how you maintain and care for and troubleshoot the device you're printing it on. And each one of those things is a price tag. So as we go through the process, the industry grows dollar by dollar. And the thing is even if you use open source, you still have to go buy filament. You still have to go buy powder. You still have to go buy the resin. So, you know, it's little by little.
yeah. You're not gonna get away from a lot of those costs, sadly.
No,
I mean,
but I think people have came to know it and came to accept it. But the thing is, I think that tinker mentality is also what prevents people from griping too much about it. And they're excited to see what is coming next. You know, it's like when we were at Rapid, there's a level of excitement. There's a level of ooh, look
yeah.
at that, you know, in the air. Because why? Because you throw a bunch of grown adults in a room and talk about additive manufacturing, everybody becomes three again. You know, because everybody wants to see the shiny. You know, and everybody wants to get together and nerd out about things that they eventually get to play with.
It's so true. It's so true. Because like at the end of the day, like you can even think about like it's not like we're gonna even not everybody that goes there is gonna buy like a big printer, right? Like
Right.
most people that are gonna go there are just like, I just want to see what we're doing now. What's
Yep.
possible?
Hmm.
And I think that's really what gets most of the tinkerers on board is you said I could do that? No way. How'd you do that? Let me
Yeah.
see. I want to do it.
It's that goes
Exactly.
back to hold my beer. Watch this. You know,
Exactly.
but the thing is that's why I love the additive manufacturing environment and the industry, and I want to see it grow, is because it is the Wild West, like you said. It is the
Hmm.
hey, hold my beer and watch this. It's hey, you know, let's get out on the forefront of this thing and you know have some fun with it. It's the only industry that encourages you to be well curious. It's, you know, also the only industry that forces you to learn something on a daily basis because you never know what's going to break.
Yeah, you're gonna learn it 3 times, sir. Minimum.
Yeah,
Minimum. You're gonna redo that.
exactly.
Yeah, you got it right the first time. You're also gonna have to get it right the third time and fourth, but you got it wrong the second, so now you don't trust yourself anymore.
Hmm. Yep. You'll go back and look at your CAD 15 times, going, what the hell did I do wrong? And it's like
Well, it's
literally
got
a
to be the
worn
file.
nozzle.
It's got to be the file. It's got to be the file. No, your print like your cat's biting your print your filament as it's going in. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eh,
no, that happened too. So
But
keep it
you
in a.
know,
This is why you get an enclosure.
right. But the thing is, it's like that's why I love this industry, and that's why and that's the reason why, this, podcast even exists, it's
It's true.
because, the industries we talk about, we enjoy, we like to tinker with, and not gonna lie, we all have the attention span of a gnat. So it all goes, hey, ooh, squirrel, you
Hey
know,
man, I feel personally attacked.
dude, you should have seen me at Automated if you think you were bad at freaking Rapid. Um, it's ooh,
Like, hey,
shiny
that's.
robot.
Did you see that robot walking? Like, no, but I'm gonna go see it.
Exactly. So it's worse with the bigger toys.
Yeah, I
It,
can
it
see.
it's toys that can also remove like the first, like, 8 pounds of your body if you let them. But the thing is soon those environments will converge, that they have been, but they'll start to converge, and now the robotics guys will nerd out and be additive manufacturing guys. Additive manufacturing guys will nerd out and be robot guys. you know, and this
Teamwork.
is right. And this is how we end up with the folks like Caracol and other organizations who build robots and attach the printers to them and say, "Ooh, that'll work." You know, that was,
It's
I guarantee you, was a hold my beer moment, or in Italy it's hold my wine.
yeah, yeah, I can see that more than hold
Hold
my
my
beer.
cannoli.
Oh, I love a good cannoli though. Still, that's not fair.
Yeah, me too. I'm not gonna lie. I got a
But
place
yeah,
right by the
no,
house I go to, so I'm right there with you.
it's the truth though. Like everything that we're talking about here, like I've looked up a few other things too, and full disclosure with everyone, like I'm going to school for additive manufacturing and things like that. So doing this research is something I'm also doing for an education, and kind of learning some of the things here it can be applied both ways. So like this is why like it's always nice to have conversations about this because you see the growth, you see the path, you see the innovation, you see the cool things, and then like adding on to that piece, you get to see like the joy that people get off of having something that seemed a bit far fetched to work out. So it's no doubt to me, it's not surprising how fast it grew,
Yeah.
right? Less waste, um, you know, Creality and some of these other printers were able to, or manufacturers were able to get these printers cheap enough to get them into like millions of homes, and then we're able to get the idea out so much that more versions of printing got developed. So like I think the basis is sound and it's in a good place, you know?
Hmm.
It's in a very good place. I think that we have a lot to look forward to, um, as far as the industry goes. Um, like yeah, it may not be complete. It's definitely I wouldn't say in infancy anymore. It's getting past its first you know teenage years, preteen years, right? I'd
Hmm.
still say it's got a very strong path ahead of it. And moreover, like it's I've said it before in a few other episodes. I have no doubt that the printer, a 3D printer in your house is going to be as commonplace as your microwave would be,
I
right?
can see
Or
that.
any of your other application or appliances that's in your house, like your washer and dryer. Like if you want to change out your um, knobs on your cabinet, go to your 3D printer, print them out, whatever you need to do. And it doesn't have to necessarily be the material like stone or metal or anything like that. But you could paint. You have different other finishing um, tactics or processes that you could do, like finish to make something to be unique for you. And I think the uniqueness is really where a lot of people are going to resonate
Oh yeah, that tinker mentality.
because then you can create heirlooms because it's only one of one, you know?
Hmm.
One of one. You don't have. This is like the trader card mentality, the fear of missing out.
Yep.
I know that you don't miss out because you've got thousands and thousands of
Hey
cards,
now.
but the fear of missing out on getting like a new set or something. Some of my friends have talked about things like this, like they collect magic cards and they sell those as
Hmm.
well. I mean, you can make a lot of killing off of that stuff.
I missed out on a lot of those.
Yeah, so they're talking about the new sets coming out and talking about buying two sets of whatever so they can have some to play with and some to store for the save. So yeah, it's something that like those are heirlooms and those make value are valuable, but those are also probably printed with inkjet.
Hmm. The thing is, if you think about it, like for example, like MTG, you start getting like Magic the Gathering and all of
Yep.
that, Pokemon and whatnot. MTG did not really catch on as fast as everybody thought it was going to, but once it did, it took off.
Mhm.
And the thing is if you have a 3D printer now, so I know some people that you know are listening and or something like that might like the live action role play LARP or
Yeah, yeah.
the tabletop games. You can print your own stuff, and then if you have those folks who like going to Comic Con, you can 3D print your entire costume if you felt like it.
Yeah, it's so nice too because you could just it supports the cosplay environment
Yep.
completely. Um, so I think that it makes sense that it grew as much as it did, as well as with the connectivity um, with society, and as much as the internet has grown and social media has grown. Everybody wants to be able to make that cool thing from their show or whatever. That's that one maybe cop or sorry, one prop designer made. I mean, this is why Adam Savage was very popular. He's making things for people that are, you know, like almost one for one replicas,
Hmm.
right? Like that's crazy to think about. So it's got this awe value to it.
Hmm.
But if you can make it yourself, why why wouldn't you? Some people just prefer to buy it, but yeah,
Right.
I mean,
It's like
you
you
could
have
be
the troopers now. Like there's a trooper organization that goes out to hospitals, kid school hospitals,
yeah,
for charity and stuff like that. On their website, they actually have the 3D printing files for people who want to join their organization, but want to 3D print their gear instead of having to buy it. It's, the thing is, and it tells them how to finish it, how to resin, cover the printer, the parts and stuff like that, make them smooth. I got a buddy at work who's involved in all of that, but he doesn't 3D print his own, not yet at least. Hopefully he starts.
hmm there's a lot of
But
potential.
it's one of those things of where you start getting in, you can start taking your 3D printed parts and stuff like that and influencing another industry or influencing another organization or influencing another person. If you think about it like gifts and stuff like that, a lot the good thing about some of the 3D printed stuff and the reason why it's also used in healthcare is it doesn't transfer certain types of filament it can be sterilized,
Yeah,
which means that it can be brought into a hospital-like environment. Meaning that if you have somebody who is going through radiation or chemo or something like that, you can print them a gift, and they can hold on to that, and you don't have to really worry about, any secondary issues.
yeah, contamination, stuff like
Right,
that. I mean, it's a thing. It's hard. We all have to live with it in certain circumstances. I mean, you can't avoid a lot of hereditary and um, man-made, issues, but it's nice to be able to provide an outlet, right?
right. And, the thing is, and this is where it kind of bounces back into, the small business side of the house, because what was it? Just a couple years ago, actually, maybe like last year, actually, we saw the boom in small business based 3D printers. Um, we released for at least enclosed 3D printers. You saw the rise of bamboo. You
Yep, yep.
saw the rise of the Creality K1s, the affordable business class printers. Um, and the thing is you start seeing a lot of people who've created part-time businesses and be able to provide there for their families. Wives are able to stay home with their newborn kids because guess what? They have 3D printers. They built a 3D print farm, in their house, and they've came up with a product they can sell on Etsy. They can sell here and there. So the ability for these 3D printers to create and maintain small businesses or to influence the small business community is absolutely, insane. And it still can influence the large organizations. Believe me, I've seen them show up on regular production shop floors that are producing vehicles. They're doing small, things to like R&D parts to make sure things work.
Yeah,
So
fitments and stuff.
right, and the thing is, and we didn't really see the rise of an affordable business class 3D printer till what, early last year?
Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, there may have been like resales or stuff like that, or if you buy in bulk, you get a discount. But in a lot of smaller businesses, they don't have the availability to do that, right?
Yeah,
So difficult. But the sales were ranking in the couple thousands or 5,000s for what I would view as a couple $100 worth of a printer.
right. You can make thousands and thousands of dollars off of a $500 printer. $600 printer if you need to go, or
Yeah,
$700 printer if you got to go more high temp stuff.
yeah. I mean, it just depends on the situation most of the time. But yeah, exactly. There's just so much more opportunity as well.
Yeah, and the thing is you start adding things to it, and you start getting a whole package. Like you start adding in the 3D scanners and stuff like that to the mix, where people get to play with 3D scanners and really get involved in that mentality. Then your use of a 3D printer skyrockets because now you can remake parts, or you can make parts to support other parts. If you may not already have the CAD files for them, you can scan it and say, okay, cool. You need to modify this here. You need to modify this here. Let me go and print that. And it's like, for example, if you're CNCing and creating a header flange for a motor, you could 3D scan the exhaust ports on a header, I mean on the side of a head, and figure out what type of design you need to fit that if something is, say, oblong or something like that, something that's not normal.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, it's just so much more opportunity. Like I'm saying, man. Um, I think it just has so much use. Um, in the world going forward. Like uh, the valuation is really what kind of resonates with me. But um, like even the COVID pandemic, uh, we talk about a lot of situations where the world's kind of manufacturing ground to a halt, right?
yep,
The world itself ground to a halt. 3D printers are still at the house moving,
yeah, exactly,
right? You're on your own environment. You don't need, yeah, so those small businesses were able to continue.
yeah.
So
And the thing is, it's untapped potential.
yeah,
It,
exactly.
and how do you keep something moving, like you said, especially like during the pandemic, keep something moving that never really stopped. You're never gonna, and the thing is like the Etsy businesses during the pandemic rose. Um, things people selling
Yeah,
things on Amazon rose.
exponentially. It's crazy.
Right. Hell, you got somebody out there making thousands and thousands of dollars a month because they found a part that was needed for one of the laser cutters that came out during the pandemic.
Hmm.
And guess what they did? How so they're making them? They 3D print them. They built a 3D print farm out of Ender 3s, and that's what they're using. And they're printing ABS on an Ender 3 and then mass producing them and sending them to Amazon. So,
It just makes sense, man.
right.
I love it so much.
And the thing is now you can buy. There's companies out there who are, if you're competent enough to rebuild a 3D printer or to be involved in a 3D printer rebuild, you can buy. bulk 3D printers. I think I bought three, no, two. No, it was a three. 3D Ender threes for something for my sister that I was doing for less than $120.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's crazy to see how much you can get out of it.
And the thing is, if you think about it, you get all those fixed, you can turn around and like I have one that's got a sheared wire, but you get these printers, you rebuild them, you use them to build your business. I'm not saying everybody go out and buy a bulk of K1s because you can tie them all together through the cloud. Just get something, and try it. If you never wanted to be involved in 3D printing and you said, oh, I guess what, I want to start here. Start with an Ender 3 or what is it, the Mini now? You can get the Ender Mini. That love lasts
It's like
all
an
of,
Ender 2.
yeah, something like that. But that love only lasts like 10 minutes because you're like, oh, I want something bigger now. So, you know,
That's where the American mentality comes into play.
mm, yeah, true.
Bigger equal better.
Yeah. And if now the thing is, if you're not a tinker and you want to do additive manufacturing or you want to do 3D printing, just go out and buy a bamboo printer.
Yeah, get it over with.
Yeah, you ain't gonna do nothing with it. You get to replace a nozzle every now and then, but it's gonna work. But you kind of lose the fun. And what is 3D printing? That's when you go out and buy an ender or, something like that. And you kind of fuss with it. You don't really fuss with it. You kind of just make it your own. Or if you want to, go and buy a high class ender, you can go buy the K1 and have a business class printer for a fraction of the cost of what a bamboo is going to cost you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in the industry now probably would benefit from a K1. I mean, the bamboo is fantastic. I don't want to I'm not blowing smoke, period. Like it does what it needs to do. It does actually more than some people expect it to do, and it also has a lot of usability for the basic user. I'm not going to get a K1 because I already have all of the other things built myself, and if I want to make one like similar to it, I just like change what I currently have as
Hmm.
opposed to getting a new one. So I think it also is situational. Depends on who you are, what you need, and what you're printing for.
Yeah. Like I've looked at the K1 because, I've got a Voron, very large Voron. Um, and I've got a current work, I've got my Ender 5 that's currently working. However, when they built the Ender 5, gravity, they didn't take into account that gravity does take effect. So you get a little bed sag, and yeah, you kind of want to prevent that.
I think you could take like a pill for that, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's called Hims. Um, so I can have my printer call online and see what can happen. Um, you know, it, it,
Spicy printer.
do, do you have,
That's funny.
yeah,
Don't no nope. Don't call that number. Okay, it's
you
a
know,
trap.
it's I don't know how you would put that. Yeah, but do you have a psyche bed?
No,
But
no, no.
one of those things. I was trying to be nice about it. You know, it's like what bed dysfunction or something like that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, get a little off topic a little bit, but
Smidgen.
yeah, no. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that our statements are kind of like our direction is true as far as you know what we're viewing the industry as far as our experience, as far as what's currently coming out. Like I think Nick, you do a great job staying pretty current on new versions. You showed me most of the new versions of like certain models coming out, like the S Fall, 6, 7, 8, all those.
Hmm.
And uh, it's nice to see the evolution of the industry. Period. Um, there's prints that are um, made of ceramics that go down in trying to help the Great Barrier Reef regrow. right? So the sustainability is starting to become a thing as well, and it's starting to help the environment. So it's nice to have an industry that can be applied to help as well as much as honestly it does still hurt. We're building in plastics, we're in metals. We're not, um, you know. We're not gonna like lie to anybody about some of this stuff. It is tough to get some of these materials.
Yeah, but the thing is with that, with the whole sustainability thing, is more and more we're seeing come out the recycling.
Right, right, exactly.
We're seeing open source recycling initiatives come out that people can build and will work through. There's people that are recycling plastic bottles, to 3D print things because they turn them into filament and they print them with a PET. But it's one of those things. I think there is a level of environmental knowledge that has to come out of the additive manufacturing world. And I think we're starting to see that. I think we're finally seeing people step up and say, hey, guess what? I can figure this out, and we no longer have to throw this stuff away. But until it's, hey, guess what? I can do this for cheaper, and I can give you a discount on your next roll of filament if you send this to me, then guess what? No one's going to do it. Or until they can find a way to make it rep, then the people who are in that rep mentality will now eventually build one on their own. Hopefully that second one comes true. But, you know, I guess it's to be determined and kind of see
Yeah,
how things go.
we like it's hard to hope on a lot of this stuff, but we've seen what happens in a lot of cases. Like you think about Madame Curie, like in like pasteurization. These are accidental finds. Like
Yeah,
you're not looking for this. It's just like, oh, I left that out too long. Hey, wait, it's doing something.
yeah. Whoops.
So this is, I mean, science for the sake of science started happening in the 80s, and it's grown from there. And I think now that we have substantial like use cases for a lot of these applications, it's this is why I say it's going to be valued so much. It's
Oh
going to
yeah.
be integrated in every part of your life,
And the
workflow,
the
all that.
the filaments that are coming out now are going to be ones that are going to change some things around. You're printing up your PET, you're printing in things that are, harder and, than certain other materials. But it makes the fact of industrial design, industrial attempts, trials and tribulations easier. And, it also kind of brings out the inner engineer in everybody
Hmm.
and finally allows people to say, hey, guess what? I could put that now no longer to paper, but I could put that to an object.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest for a lot of people to picture when I explain to them what 3D printing means or is to me, right? Like what they're like, what is additive manufacturing? Like, oh, that's just 3D printing. I mean, kinda, not all of it. Like it's there's a lot there's a like a I hate to just use the common terminology that we use at work, of course, but a North Star.
Hmm.
There's a direction that you're going to, and that direction is forward and making things easier and quicker and cooler. If it means I can make this flamethrower shoot twice as far with this attachment I printed, like we're gonna do that stuff. So
Hey, you can
I
find one
think
of those
science
online.
for the sake of science is where we're at, and I think that it's gonna be hard to ignore, um, kind of the industry as a whole going forward. Not that people are ignoring it now, but
Yeah.
it's growth is gonna be undeniable. Coming soon to a house near you.
And the thing is, one thing I want to cover before we kind of sign off for the night is the impact that additive manufacturing has had in STEM education. We've seen these printers end up in classrooms. We've seen them at all levels of classroom, for that matter.
Hmm.
We've seen them impacting universities now, and we're supporting universities. We've seen entire universities, like what John's saying, that are offering additive manufacturing degrees at every single level, all the way through the doctoral programs.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is, so it's there, but its impact to the next generation is huge. These things are actually teaching. I don't even want to call it STEM. I want to call it STEAM. Science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. Because you have the science that goes behind the filament, the technology that is the 3D printer, the engineering which goes into the CAD files and stuff like that. Same thing with the art. You got to be an artist or at least have some sort of creative bone in your body.
To
You know,
picture this, it's crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
To
And
even think of this
then
stuff.
math, G code, guys. Flow rates, feeds and speeds.
G code is literally geometric code. Geometry. If you fail geometry, I got bad news for you.
Right.
It's coming back. It's happening a lot.
But the thing is, we see kids who have not even made it to geometry yet mastering a 3D printer.
Hmm.
They're not right out there writing G code and freaking, figuring out the way things go. Some might be. I'll tell you one thing. There's some kids
Gamification.
out there that, yeah, exactly. Gamification is one of them. They have the small little 3D printers you can bring to birthday parties to print out gifts. And or kids safe 3D printers that maintain a certain temperature so your kids don't get burned or anything like that.
Hmm.
Um, it's literally the easy bake oven of toys. You could,
Yeah, apply everywhere. I think I've given a 3D print or some type of print or talked to someone about my printer, um, in every age group.
yeah, me too.
You know, some of them are like, "Shut up about it already," and then they come back to me and they're like, "Hey, wait a second. You said you could do this. Can you do this for me?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, shut up, huh?"
Yeah, yeah. That's why I usually tell them to go buy their own. Um,
I'll teach you, but yeah,
yeah,
or
yeah. Here,
you
here,
just give me
here.
the money. I'll go buy it for you. Don't worry.
Yeah. Here's a link to a $99 Ender 3 brand new if you want to go to certain stores. You know, but
Yeah,
the thing is it's making that radical shift like we were talking about earlier. Because I think once you see an industry end up in education, it's there to stay.
yeah,
And it's being adopted. People are finally going, ooh, shiny. Okay, we're making it one of us now. Finally, the engineers of the world, God bless them, have finally figured out that, hey, this thing exists, and they need to adopt it, or they're going to lose. Um, so I don't know if they finally, you got to understand. I'm going to give engineers hell because they they have moments. Um, but
engineer is a
yeah, yeah.
loose
En
term,
engineering, being an engineer doesn't actually equal education. It just means that you got a job. Um,
fancy word we call. Yeah.
exactly. Sometimes you can be an actual trained engineer if you have ABET certification. Then I give you 110% of the credit because that's
That
that's
is
a hard ass
amazing.
test.
Hmm.
Um, and the thing is, they're finally seeing this thing come to life, and your high level engineers are finally going, I can use that. And finally, you got people at these high level freaking organizations saying, I use additive. Let's train, let's teach it. Let's make it part of ABET. And they all go, okay,
Like,
you
hold on
know,
a second. Yeah, you might be onto something here.
right. Like your other engineers from, all over the world may not be into this yet. You may not see engineers from quasi country, different countries involved in 3D printing. It may take a little bit of force or a little bit of
There is a stigma.
yeah, exactly. But the thing is once you get them started in it, they're down that rabbit hole again and off they go. Because the good thing about some engineers is they're curious. Once they're curious about something, they're going to keep digging in, which means now they're going to want to teach it. So I think that's finally what happened, and I'm happy to see it. I'm hoping it continues.
That's for certain.
Like you've said many times before, if you would have seen a 3D printer earlier than what you have, you would
Hmm.
have changed the complete trajectory of where you're at.
Yeah, like I would have gone in. Now, now, not gonna lie, I actually have some realizations as well. Like my, my dad went to school for draft and design, so like this is kind of the next iteration, which is pretty funny that I never asked that before. But yeah, it's if you were into drafting and design and you're into just the models and stuff like that, it's that generation has just developed and come through in a new, digital world.
Hmm.
So
If you
yeah,
can figure out CAD,
I'm gonna get there. Just wait.
yep.
I tried it, but then look, I trust the system. I trust the process.
Yeah, I got Fusion 360 down to a path where I'm dangerous. When I can make a blob. At this point,
Boom. I can
done.
make a blob.
Mic drop.
Record time.
I can make a square. Um,
Record
and,
time.
and I could
Just
put a
make
hole
it
in
a
it with some
square, baby.
threads. I got that.
That's
Um,
funny.
I can make inner and outer threads. But the thing
You
is,
gotta start somewhere. Yeah.
it's the one thing that they're missing now eventually, and it is, what is it, 3D printer AA. Um,
I can't stop. Can't
exactly.
stop. I haven't heard that yet. No.
So you never know what's next. It could be, hey, guess what? We're spending too much money on this. We're not spending enough money on this. But the thing is I really think that is, something that the industry will tell us. People will have fun with it. People will enjoy it. And, I hope to see it grow. And the thing is, I think that is going to bring us to the end uh, for tonight. Um, so, I do want to start off by saying thank you to every single person who's listened to us. All what, 22,857 of y'all who've actually taken the time to listen to what we have to say.
Wait, say
You
that number
know,
one more time.
2,857.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well, 2,858 now. I just saw it update by
Yeah.
one.
Boom.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
European time zone. Um, and the thing is, if I look at it, it's gone global, and I thank y'all for that. I thank y'all for listening to you wherever you are in the world. You know, um, if we can help get y'all to one spot or to understand something, we'd love it. Um, and y'all in Singapore, um, reach out because I'm interested. I'm interested in the additive manufacturing organization. I looked it up one day out there, and they're doing some big things. So if you're part of that and you're listening to us, reach out. I'm kind of interested.
The
Um,
uh, the university over there.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of interested in that. So if you're listening in, reach out to us. Podcast at vulcanara.com, and we'll take a look. And we may want to have a conversation with you, or at least just kind of see, kind of what's going on. So kind of pick your brain and see what's going on out there. Um, that goes for anybody. If y'all want to, send an email that says, hey, what y'all are working on, hit us up there, hit us up on Instagram or, wherever you guys see fit. Reach out. We definitely want to have a conversation. We want to start that open dialogue. There's definitely, thoughts going on out there about maybe starting a couple other channels, a more communication channel for us and stuff like that. Maybe even starting some other stuff, but we'll get to that at a later point. Um, but I want to say thank you. Y'all go out there, take a look at vulcanr.com. Go out and take a look. We just redid our logo, so we got some stuff coming on Vulcanar 3D hopefully here soon. Go take a look at the blog. We should be adding some more stuff to that. I'm mean, hopefully being able to do a few more video blogs for y'all on the YouTube channel and some more shorts because I think y'all enjoyed those. Um, we'll go take a look at printed heritage and see what you guys got. I'm trying to redo that a little bit, but I'm working on it little by little. So, y'all, I appreciate it. Y'all have a good night. And we'll talk to y'all later. What you got?
Yeah. Echo echo what you say. It's nice to have a platform. It's nice to have a place to speak on these topics. I know that academia is a place where a lot of people can reach out and speak on these things and research and all that good stuff. But it's nice to have a place where you don't like the stigma isn't around. You know, you got this master's degree, blah blah blah. These things like that, but more centered around knowledge for the sake of knowledge. And I think that that's an important ideal for the future of humankind to grow. Um, Being more helpful than hurtful is definitely a mentality of mine, and I think that a lot of people want to put more good into the world than they receive. So um, I'm always just very appreciative. So thank you guys for listening. Just in general, reach out to us always. All the platforms. Stay tuned for anything new that we have coming out. Please, please, please reach out if you have any questions or you want to be involved in anything. I think that the community that we want to build is centered around additive and industry, but I don't think that we're going to turn anyone away. I think that inclusivity is important in this place as well. So thank
Oh
you
yeah,
guys. Thank you, Nick, as well for the platform. And yeah, guys, check us out and reach out if you can. So
yeah.
thanks.
Reach out. Let's have some fun. So,
All
all right,
right.
y'all, keep learning, and we'll talk to you later. All right, bye.
Take care.
That's all for this episode of Tech at Lunch. Thanks for tuning in and joining us for this tech-filled lunch break. We hope you enjoy the show, and don't forget to subscribe on all channels. And also, you can find us on YouTube under Vulcanar Technology Solutions. And join us for our next episode, which gets published every Wednesday at 8 a.m. All right, y'all. Have a good one. See you later.